Just got a brand new piece of live edge, beautiful live edge wood. Looks like it's about 7 or 8 feet long. So I'm just starting now to priming it with a coat of latex, just white house paint to kind of seal it. I'll let that dry and then we'll start painting and resin. So stay tuned, here we go. Hi everybody, we're on stage 2. I have already primed the board and now I'm going to do an underpainting. It's kind of big so you can't see the whole thing. I'll show you the whole thing later, but I'm just doing a background with some of the dark blues. I'm going to start with the dark blues up here and graduate it out to lighter blues, and then I'm going to use some golds and for the sand at the bottom. I want to kind of make it on an angle like that with the waves coming in like that. So that's the next stage. I'm going to paint this up with these beautiful blue colors as an underpainting and let it dry probably a good 10 days. Make sure it's good and dry. And then I'll be layering the resin colors, some tinted resins on top and with some white to do some wave action. So this will probably take me about an hour to do this. So when it's done, I'll come back and I'll show you where we're at that point. Just a little halfway to see what I'm doing, see where I'm at. So I'm going to bring this beautiful aqua down and I'm just kind of blending the colors together. Keeping in mind I'm going to be pouring resin over them, so I'll have another chance to kind of shape it and adjust the colors. I'm just trying to get an underpainting here and to lay down a base. This is fun. It's easy. You can't really make a mistake with this. It's pretty straightforward. So that's where we're at with that. I'll come back when I'm done. Okay, almost done with the blue, and now I'm going to do the beach. So I've got a couple of different golds and a bronze in there, and I'm just gonna make some sand. You want it to be varied a little bit, and I'm gonna blend it into the blue. Just dabbing it in. Picking up a couple of different colors to give the effect of sand. Keeping in mind there'll be some nice resin waves coming up on the beach on top of this. Like that. More gold. You gotta have some gold, a little bit of sparkle. So I'll just finish up with that. Okay, there's my underpainting. Ooh, lots of glare. That's a big piece of wood. So that's the underpainting. So I've just kind of, laid down some color and blended them together. Real easy. And then I'm going to let that dry for about 2 weeks. And then we'll go over it with some beautiful resin, put some waves and stuff in. And it's resin day. I have painted, did as kind of a base coat of the colors of the beach that I want to do. Then what I did do, and I forgot to film it, is I built like a dam using the silicone, the clear silicone gun. I just kind of went around the area that I wanted the resin to stay in, because I don't want the resin to run down across the bark. I want to try and preserve that. So I built a silicone dam all the way around the edge that I'm hoping will hold the resin. It should do. I put the silicone down and then I let it sit for a little bit, and then I went and tapped it all down. So hopefully I've got a good seal. I could test it, try and put some water in there, but then I'd have to wait for it to dry. And I don't want to wait anymore. I'm ready to resin. So I use magic resin. I've used a number of different ones, but I've found this and it works really nicely. So that's the resin I'm going to use today. So I'm going to start off I'll show you how I mix the resin. I have cups that I reuse. The one I used for the part B, I guess that's the, I can never tell if one is the resin, one is the hardener, but as long as you don't mix them up, it's okay. So I go by thick and thin. The other one is thinner, and this one is thicker. So I'm just gonna eyeball it. I don't need a ton today. I'll be doing it in a couple of layers, I think, to get a wave effect, you know, a layered wave. So I think this will do me. So the first one, it's not that important how much you put in. The second one is important because you have to get exactly the same amount. That's the trick with resin. Make sure that you pour, when it's the two-part resin, part A and B, make sure you do it 50-50. Oh, I need my little lid puller outer. You've got to have your toolkit. Okay, so here's where you have to get it exactly the same. And this one pours thinner. That's why I do this second. It's easier to measure exactly the same. And these cups have those little lines on them, so it makes it a little bit easier to get it exactly the same. That's it. That's it. And I did what I always accidentally do, forget to put the lids back on when I'm done, and that would get the lids mixed up, so I might have a hard time getting them off next time. But anyway, okay, so to mix the resin, you want a container that doesn't have ridges because you want to be able to clean it off the edges. So first I pour in the thin one. Oh, that's the thick one. Let me get another popsicle stick. First I pour in the thinner one in the container. Get it all out, scrape it real good. Go, it's got it. Put that away for another day. And then I'll get the thicker one. And I do it this way so that the thinner resin is what is right against the edges, so it's just easier to get it all scooped off the edges. And then I usually kind of pour this from up high to start getting it mixed. Same thing, get it all out. If it's cold, today it's August, so it's warm here. But in the winter, the resin in my shop, it's kind of cool. So what I do, when I pour it into these cups, I set the cups in some warm water, and that reduces the bubbles, the air bubbles when the resin is a little bit heated up. Not heated up, but just take the chill off it so that it's kind of room temperature. I'm not going to do that today because I don't think it's necessary. There's a little bit at the bottom there that's kind of sticky, I guess, from the last time. I don't think I want to use that. See that glove? I don't think I'm going to use that. It's probably be fine, but I don't want to take a chance. So I'll get the rest of it off. I think that was just left over from the last time. Okay, and then you start your timer. Very important, 3 minutes, at least 3 minutes. I usually go 4. And it's just mixing, 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 mixing. And keep scraping the sides and scrape the bottom. That's the key to getting your resin to set, is make sure it's really well mixed. So I'm not going to make you sit through this, so I'll be back in 3 minutes. Alrighty, we are all mixed up real good. So now I want to tint the resins. Now for this, I would like to have 3 different colors of blue. So I've got 3 different kinds of tinting here for the resin. This one is one of those soap, the soap coloring things. I forget the name of it. Soap dye. I can't see a brand name, but you can get them on Amazon or anywhere. So I'm going to make some dark blue, and that should be enough, just kind of like a little popsicle stick worth. Put that in first, close that up, and food coloring. I find the food coloring dyes, they give you a nice clear resin, where some of the other things, they're kind of opaque and cloudy. So I've been using a little bit of food coloring. I like it. It makes it more like glass, like it's more transparent. So I'll put a bit of that, and then I want like a nice beachy color. And this is Jacquard. I guess this is an alcohol ink. I think pearlescent turquoise. So let's try that. I think this will be fine. We'll find out. Oops, it's kind of, whoops. Ooh, there we go. I love the color. Hopefully it mixes with the resin well. Should do. Let's do that. Let's do that. And then, last but not least, for the waves, I just use a little bit of white paint, any kind of white paint. This is just white house paint. You don't need too much. Just for the waves, for the wave crests. There we go, that ought to do it. Okay, and now I'm going to split up my resin into these cups, kind of roughly in the proportions I think I'm going to need. Some dark, that's probably enough of that, and then the middle tone, the blue, probably a little bit more of that, and then the nice aqua, probably use a fair bit of that, and then a little bit of white for my wave crest. I'm going to hold back a little resin in case I find I need some more. I think actually I'm going to put a little bit more in that mid-tone, because that will be the one that I use the most. And then I'm just going to stir all those up and watch how they get those beautiful colors mixing through. I'll show you once it gets mixed enough. This is a really dark blue, almost a pewter type color. So I won't be using a lot of that. It's just more to give it some contrast. Look at that. It's almost a gray. It's called Aquamarine. Yeah, that's really dark. I won't be using a whole lot of that. You see that? Look at that. It's nice though. Just to give it some contrast. That looks good. I'll probably do this piece in a couple of layers of resin because I want it to sort of show different layers of waves. Here's my food coloring. I don't need really strong colors because I've got that underpainting, so it's almost like I just want to give it a watery look. So that's pretty light. I might need a little bit more. See, that's pretty light. I think I want a little bit more food coloring in there. I gather you can get away with putting up to 10%. So 10% of your total can be pigment. Either paint, you can use acrylic paint, the mica powders. I think you can use alcohol ink. I'm about to find out. I know you can put alcohol ink on top, but we'll see. That's better. That's a little bit more, a little richer. Let's see how this one turns out. Oh, I don't know. Ooh, that's pretty. I might have to mix some more of this. So I would say alcohol ink definitely works. Oh yeah, I'm gonna want more of this. That's gorgeous. Wow. So I'm kind of trying to more or less match the colors that I've already put on for my underpainting. Look at that. Ooh, that's nice. Okay, that looks good. A little bit of the white. And this will just be kind of to put on the wave crests, little waves. That's probably all I need. You don't need too much of this. Okay, here goes. Now hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. I'm gonna move that a little bit there. That should be better. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the darker color. I'm gonna put that up at the top here. Now we're gonna find out if my dam is gonna work. We're gonna find it. I'll save a little bit in case I wanna layer it a little. So that's that. Now I'm gonna pour my blue. See if I can get it to go all the way down here. Ooh, that's so nice. Probably could have used some more of this, but we'll work with what we got. Like I say, I'll probably do this in a couple of layers, so if I find I'm coming up short on something, I'll come back tomorrow, do another layer. Drop. Good. Now this beautiful color. This beautiful beach color. See if my dam works. Okay. All right. So now I'm just going to use my fingers and spread this out. Again, I don't want it really super thick. And I can blend the colors together. So I'm going to start by blending those mid-tone and the blue together, the darker blue. And then I'll go into the other one. Now I'm going to see if my dam works. I'm not going to put a whole bunch of resin right up again. It's kind of going to self-level. It's going to do its own thing anyway. But I'm not going to push too much up against that edge. I don't want to tempt fate too much. What I'm going to do, when I'm done mixing this, I'm going to tilt it. So see if I can get a bit of a wave effect. I can see right now I'm going to be doing some more layers. going to do this. I'm going to tilt it up a little bit and see if I can get it to kind of drift down like a wave. Oh yeah, it's working. So it's kind of make a wave on the beach effect. I don't really want that drippy look though. So let's do this. The dam hasn't busted yet. Still looks good. Yeah, we'll be doing some more resin. I'm probably gonna let this set before I do the next layer. There's enough of a base layer in there, so I might just let this set overnight. I will, because I've already mixed this. I'm going to do a bit of waves in here. Before I do that. I'm going to go overboard. This is all going to, when I do the heat gun, it's all going to blend in really nice. I'm not going to do the actual beach foam yet until I get the next layer on. This is just put a bit of texturing in. So I'm going to do now, I think I'm done with most of the resin. I can take off my gloves. I usually don't wear gloves, but you do with resin. You have to with resin. Okay, so now we'll do some drop something on there. We'll do some torching, get the bubbles out. You can see all the little air bubbles coming out. Actually, when you're doing beaches and water, it's okay to have air bubbles, but I usually get those out. I don't see any resin leaks yet. I'm hoping I can, when I'm all done, I should be able to just pull that the silicone off. Fingers crossed that it comes off easy, and then I'll have a nice resin edge. Okay, that's good. So now I'm going to get my heat gun and move those little waves around a bit, make them look a little more natural. Get these plugged in here. There we go. Just my little Amazon heat gun thing. This wasn't a fancy one. One day I'll get a fancy one. Just a little guy, but it works. Try not to drag the cord through. So I'm just putting the heat on those little wave things just to soften them up a bit so they don't look so severe. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just moving that around a little bit. So I think that is about it for today. I'm going to take you down so you can take a closer look. There's a lot of reflections there. I don't know if you can see. I can see my ceiling and my phone. A lot of reflections. So it's just giving it some little more intensity with the tinted resin. And my edge right now just comes to there. So tomorrow I'm going to mix some more resin. I'll do another wave over top, and maybe I'll do that 2 or 3 times just to get this kind of a 3D look for the wave. Sorry about all the reflections. Ooh, look at that. So I'll be watching to see if the dam breaks. Hopefully it doesn't. If I see any leaks, I'll just go and try and scoop up the resin before it gets. So coming along. Might be able to finish her off tomorrow. Stay tuned. Good morning, Resinistas. We're back at it today again. And I've already mixed up same resin that I did the other day, yesterday, same colors. I'm just going to do a second layer. Everything turned out pretty good. There's a few little weird things that I'm not crazy about, so I'm going to fix them up. You're not going to be able to see it, well, maybe from there. But there's just a bit of a lighter streak going through here that I think probably it was me I had some lighter resin on my stick and I was smoothing it out a bit. So I just want to darken that up a bit again. So I'm using the darker color of resin. No, it looks good. It's set up really nice. So we're going to go and do a similar thing that we did yesterday. And my dam's held. Now the trick will be to make sure I can get them off the wood piece, but I think they're going to come off okay. Silicone usually doesn't stick to anything, so I think we'll be fine. So I'm getting right up to the edge now with this nice marine, what do they call it? Dark marine color. There we go. That should do it. Save some in case I need to touch something up. Looks good, looks good. And then again, I'm going to do a layer of the blue. It's going to cover up some of those waves that I did, and that's fine. It won't cover it completely. It'll just make it a little, you know, a little opaque, but I'm going to be putting another layer of those on, so that's fine. I'm thinking I'm going to end up doing a third coat on this because the underpainting is lower than the resin. So I think probably what I'm going to end up doing, I'm going to let this sit overnight, and I'm likely going to do another clear or a lighter turquoise color over there to come down, because I want to be able to cover the underpainting there with resin. So I'm probably going to leave this. Well, I'm going to put some waves in, but then I'm going to put another layer on top, I think. Okay, I think I'm going to leave that for today. And then tomorrow we'll come back and see. I think I'm going to put a final coat. Might even just be a clear coat. I think probably just a clear coat of resin. And I'll get that final bit of beach foam coming down there. Okay, ready for the final coat of resin. So I figured out what that band was that I didn't like. It's just that the pigment I used for the dark color is very opaque, and the food coloring is not. It's translucent. So I'm going to take some of that blue. I used the food coloring. I tinted it with the food coloring. And I'm going to pour over that, just do a thin layer over that, and see if I can kind of make them blend a little bit better. It's fine. It doesn't look bad. It's just not what I had in mind. So I'm going to see how that works. Okay, there's how she looks. Sorry for all the reflections. That's all right. It's kind of neat at the end how it's just clear water. That's okay. I'm kind of glad I didn't put any tint in there, any pigment. There we go. So we'll check in tomorrow, take the silicone off, and we'll see what we end up with. Okay, it's the next morning. The resin is all set, and I'm just taking off. I'm peeling up the silicone. It's coming up nice. This edge is really sharp. I just cut my finger taking it off. So I'm going to have to get, my X-Acto knife and heat up the blade, and then just do like an angle cut there to kind of bevel the edge and take away the sharp thing. But this damn thing worked perfectly. So far so good. Yep, like a dream. It's coming right off. Really nice. But definitely a sharp edge there, which is fine. I kind of expected that. But I can just, with my X-Acto knife, heat up the blade, and then it just carves right through the resin really nicely. Okay, so what I'm doing is I want to take that jagged edge off. You can't really see it too well there, but let me try and blow that up, see if... Let's see, yeah, there you can see it a little bit better. And then I take my X-Acto knife, cutting knife, box cutter, whatever you call these guys, and heat up the blade. And then carefully just go along the edge like that, and it just takes off a little layer. I don't know if you can see that. So that's gonna take away that sharp edge and give me a nice clean edge. It doesn't hurt the resin at all. I don't have to re-resin anything. I might get a little bit of sandpaper. We'll see how it feels when I've done this. But that's working really nicely. So that you have to heat it up every once in a while. Beauty, that works really nicely. Still, it's pretty smooth, but I might work on it a bit more, or maybe a little bit of sandpaper to clean it up. So I'm going to go around and do all of that, and then I think we're going to be done. And done. Here we go. just left the bottom as it is, just got a little bit of gold paint on it, and that way I get, then you can see it looks like water coming up on the beach. If I resin the whole thing, if I resin the sand beach, you'd lose that. But when you don't, when you leave it, then you'll get that bit of a lip that looks like the water coming up on the beach. In retrospect, I think I mentioned what I wish I had done is done the biggest layer of resin, the one that goes right down to here first, and then the other ones later, because then I would have had that nice lip here too. But you know, it's a learning process. Anyway, we're all done. That was fun. I gotta find another piece of wood again like that and let her rip again. Okay, thanks folks.